Welcome to the SyFy Sistas live show. It's a Tuesday night, so you know we're live. We're so happy to be here with you tonight. First off, Ore Silversmiths proudly serves as the official sponsor of the live show. Explore Ore Silversmiths for beautifully crafted jewelry. That's your cue, SyFy Sistas. Ding, 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 check out my bling. Including the SyFy Sistas collection by clicking on the link provided in the show description. So hi, everybody. Welcome. We're so glad you guys are here. We have what we think is going to be an amazing show because we are joined by two amazing women who really kick ass in our esteem, and we're just ready to light it off because y'all know that we Trekkies all the way, but we also dabble, we dabble in a lot of other things, and we're this is the dabble.
That's dabble.
Yes, that's dabble. One of those things that we dabble in is Star Wars to varying degrees, different sisters, varying degrees of Star Wars love. So joining us tonight, we have first Liz Declan. Is it Declan or Declan?
It's Declan.
It's Declan. I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like, let me ask her. And she is the senior Star Wars writer for Screen Rant, and she's also involved in many other different fandoms, including Marvel and Disney. But let me tell y'all, she's been holding down the fort over there at Screen Rant, and we all know we've been reading your stuff, girl, and you are a force to be reckoned with. So we're delighted to have you on the show. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And we also have our friend La Girafe. You guys might know her as the co-host of Strange New Pod. She is a cosplayer extraordinaire. And this is one of the things that I love that I just learned about her recently, is that she's the curator of everything Uhura. This woman is a collector and a historian, and she's taking care of everything Black in fandom. And we love her for that. So welcome to the show, Girafe.
Thank you. I love that you say my name in French, La Girafe.
Yeah, thank you. That's all years of French class, and I'm like, some things stuck and some things didn't. So, guys, we're so excited to be here. Yeah, okay, Bruce Hahn.
Right.
Bruce came in hot tonight.
He sure did. He came in hot.
Yeah. See, Bruce, these are not the sisters you're looking for. My friends, we're going to go outside of our Trekkie comfort zone a little bit, and we're going to talk Star Wars. And I just wanted, I am a casual Star Wars fan, right? Like I'm not a fan. I can't quote you a lot of Star Wars after the first original movies. Like I can quote Star Trek, right? I'm not like all up in the forums, debating Star Wars stuff. Like I'm not. I watch all the new stuff, and like I try to keep up with it. I still haven't finished the last season of Bad Batch. There's still some more animated Star Wars that I have to check out. So like I'm like. And different timelines get me confused, but I'm still down for it, right? Like I'm here, I'm down for it. It's just not my deepest thing. I want to go around and ask everybody, like, what's your relationship with Star Wars? And when did it start? Like mine started going to see the original movie back as a kid and standing in line for that and having my head like literally blown. And Star Wars was the best shit up there until Indiana Jones came out, and then Indiana Jones was the best shit, and then another Star Wars came out, and Star Wars was the best shit again. So we had it good back then. We had it really good. So Liz, I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to go to Girafe, and then I'll ask the sisters to hop in. What's your Star Wars history?
Yeah, so I grew up with a mom who really loved Star Wars, which is kind of cool. I feel like that's a little unusual. So my mom was a huge fan of the original trilogy, and I'm a 90s kid. So I grew up watching the prequel trilogy. That's really my specific movies that I love are the prequels. But my daughter, I have a 10-year-old daughter, she got really into Rey a couple of years ago. And so I had actually kind of put a little pause in my Star Wars fandom. Not for any particular reason, but then my daughter got really into Rey, so we started watching everything together. And I just got really into it all over again. And yeah, I've just been kind of addicted for the last couple of years.
I love that. It's a good addiction. It's a healthy addiction. I'm okay with that, you know? What about you, Giraffe?
I'm gonna tell you my first Star Wars memory, just so you laugh a little bit. Oh, am I cutting? I feel my
No,
internet is easy. I'm good. Okay.
you're good, babe.
So I've always been a nerd. So I was during lunch break, I would go in classrooms with a group of students, and we would watch movie in English, so I could get better in English. I grew up in France, right? And one day, my teacher rolls, the TV on the right.
Yeah.
I'm an 80s kid, and and we watched Return of the Jedi. I had no concept of any of this thing. I had watched Star Trek on TV, but like that Star Wars was not. It was movies, right? And I remember being mind blown and scared, and also I want to see more of this. From there, I've watched all the movies, I've watched all the series, and so on. But the only difference between Star Trek and Star Wars for me is that I was never able to get into the fandom. Every time I stepped in the fandom, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stay a Trekkie. But yeah, I've watched everything, and it's sci-fi, it's stories. I appreciate everything on TV, and everybody that makes stories. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love that. That's an appreciation of the stories, right, Sabrina? Uh-oh. Sabrina freeze?
Yeah. No, she's
Okay.
there.
No, she's there.
She's lagging.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go to Yvette. Yvette, go ahead.
Oh well, Star Wars was my thing. I'm a Star Wars kid. I was not a Star Trek kid, as we all know. I was shoved into Star Trek kicking and screaming, but I picked Star Wars. Star Wars was the first one, was the last. I would say it was the last movie I saw with a parent. Like it was the last time my parents took me to the movies, because I think I was 10 when it came out. So, and I went to Fordham Road, and it was the first theater that had like multiple theaters inside, and it was a big deal. It was huge. But that was my thing. That I was a Star Wars kid. It was so everything for me, and it still is. I think I'm still a Star Wars person. I love Trek definitely more than I love Star Wars. I think the fandom of Star Wars has kept me away from it. But I do love it. I am trying to get back into it since they put that little timeline thing on Disney. You know how I feel about timelines. Yeah. Man, they had me at a timeline. I was like, "Ooh!" I'm sitting here looking at the timeline right now, trying to figure out where things go. I just love that. I mean, you got me right there. So, but yeah, Star Wars was my thing. I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't a Star Trek fan. I was definitely a Star Wars fan. So
yeah, I did that. Come on, Sabrina, you there with me?
Wow.
Yep, that's where it was. The arcade.
Yeah. Star Wars. Star Wars. Yeah, I was in college, so 77. This was big. We were, we had been there wasn't a lot of great big sci-fi movies. It was huge. It had like Superman or whatever, but Star Wars was really a science fantasy because there's not really any science in this
Right.
franchise.
Zero science.
But no, there's no zero science. It's all fantasy. So, but it was
She's
big.
right.
It was huge. And we had been starved for it. So yeah, I was a big Star Wars fan, like until, like you said, Indiana Jones came out, and then we
Which Indiana played no part in that movie at all. He didn't even need to be there. You know that, right?
Right.
I'm just putting that out there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Big Bang Theory.
After she said it on Big Bang, I was like, oh, damn, she got a point.
She did.
I know.
I was so disappointed.
And she got a point. And
I went back and looked at that movie. I was like, God damn it.
You're right.
I'm sorry. We digress. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
We do that all the time, though. So
Wow.
come on.
It is what it is.
Come on, Fran. What's your Star Wars dabbling?
First of all, I was a grown ass woman when the movie came out. Just to let you give y'all some perspective. Okay. But I went to the movies to see it because it was, because I like science fiction. Okay, it don't have any science in it, but it was amazing. The special effects and what was going along. The thing came down and then far away, a long time ago. I'm like, okay, then Darth. I'm like, oh shit! Look at this black dude, and he had a black voice. Okay,
Right.
Definitely.
He was literally black and had a black voice. I like it.
He was literally black.
Literally
black with the black voice, the booming black voice. I said, James Earl Jones, all right. So, because I used to read a lot of stuff like in the newspaper and I used to read about upcoming stuff. And I know I read about this. I think I read about this in the newspaper though.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I wanted to go see it. So the first 3 movies, as I said, the original trilogy, I loved them all. I loved them all.
Yeah.
But then as I was telling the ladies before, when they came out with these prequel things, I'm like, he making this up. He didn't mean this.
I'm making it up.
I mean that was my take on it, y'all. He was okay. I know it started with episode 4, but he didn't have episode 1, 2, 3 nowhere until he did go. So I'm like, look at you making this up. So I know he make it up, but it didn't seem to fit to me. So, but I love the first 3 movies, the original trilogy. I loved it.
And let me ask you guys this. Well, first of all, I want to say, who was it? Bruce gave you a shout out, Fran, and said happy belated birthday. So happy birthday, Fran. For those of you who don't know, Fran just turned 70 years old.
I
did.
Yay! Still a grown ass woman.
Right.
Still a grown ass woman.
Yeah. So, Fran and Sabrina, because I already know the answer for Yvette, but I mean, you get and I think I might know the answer for Girafe and Liz, but have you guys dabbled in any of the newer Star Wars shows? And if so, which ones?
I looked at the one. I hope. Are we doing spoilers here or something?
Oh God, it's us. Of course we are.
Okay, so the last new Star Wars I saw was where Han Solo got killed.
Oh wow!
That's the last thing I've seen.
Okay.
That's
I mean, that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, right. That was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
well, when they came.
Yeah,
okay, that was Luke Skywalker was at the end. You saw him.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah,
that was the last thing I've seen in Star Wars because I'm still saying that man made them first prequels up. So I'm like, I guess I'll look at it.
Okay, we got more. We got to hip you too. Mm-hmm. All right. What about you, Sabrina? And delay. And
I'm pretty much up to date. You know, I've missed a few movies here and there, you know, because I really just gave it up. But The Mandalorian brought me back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that.
I think it brought a lot of us back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Mandalorian. Oh, sorry.
Started catching up again.
Oh. There's
She
a
started
soundtrack.
catching it. Oh.
Soundtrack.
Okay.
Huh? Okay. Gotta find out about that one.
For the first trilogy, for the first trilogy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, okay. All right. So The Mandalorian was like brought a lot of us back in, like Yvette said, too. Yeah. It was so much fun. You know, Mandalorian is just fun to me. And, you know, and that little, yeah, this is the way. Like, it, you know, I just, first of all, there's something about a man in a helmet that's just always forever going to be sexy to me. Like some tight pants and a helmet. Like
Tight pants and a helmet.
and just don't take off the helmet and don't say a lot. But you
Yeah,
got
don't take the
everything.
helmet off. Don't do it.
No.
Okay.
Are you guys with me, Liz and Girafe?
No, I need to unbox everything. You know, I'm the kind of person, I don't leave the dolls in the box. You need to take the helmet off, the shoes off too. Like, nah. I want to see everything. Before buying anything, I need to see everything.
I hear that though.
That's true. What about you, Liz? Do you like the mystery of the helmet?
So I think that applies to Kylo Ren for me, who was in The Force Awakens. So that masked figure, yes, but Mando is Pedro Pascal, and so I feel like he can take the helmet off.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Pedro can take the helmet off. That's true. I'm all right with that.
I know who he is. I do know who he is. I didn't know that he was in Star Wars, but I know.
I figured you would. I knew Fran knew that one.
Yeah, I knew who he was. I didn't know where he was from, but he can take the helmet off.
Right? True. But I'm okay with some mystery, you know. It's like somebody like, you know, that motorcycle swagger, you know. Okay. Did you guys ever see the picture of LeVar Burton in his black leather on the motorcycle?
Oh, not again.
It was one time I said this. One time. I'm just saying.
I have not, and I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah, you really
need
should.
to Google
You should
that.
Google it. Yeah,
And I'm Googling it right.
you should
now.
Google it. Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah,
girl, it's something.
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It is.
It's something.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
that's more digression, but I can't help it. I'm just saying. So okay, we're gonna talk about the Acolyte. I'm
She found
really
it.
interested. You see? I'm not lying, right?
You're not. But I don't think there's anywhere where LeVar Burton is not hot anyway. Let's be honest. Like,
This
Right?
is true. This is true. This is true. I mean, he was hot as Kunta, so
As Kunta.
Right.
I mean,
I was a grown ass woman when that came out too.
I was not, so I can say that.
I was most definitely not a grown ass woman when
I shouldn't have been watching. As young as I was, I shouldn't have been watching.
Oh my God, there were so many.
I was
shows
legal.
back
I was
then.
legal drinking age, Fran.
Yeah, well, that's one.
Oh
So
my
many shows I
God.
shouldn't have been watching back then.
No,
Okay,
but
so
nobody
before-
cared.
right? No,
No, they didn't
it's
care
the
back
70s.
I was
then.
not born.
Everybody,
Nobody
what'd you say? What'd you say, Giraffe?
I was not born.
Oh, wow. All right,
Definitely
moving on.
not a grown ass woman on this one. Sorry.
Moving on. Moving on.
We are who we are.
That's right.
Yep. Okay.
But, so
before I
before we go on, or before we delve a little farther down, is there can we talk about the this new thing called the eras of Star Wars real quick? Because a lot of people are just finding out that there's like this new timeline out. And like I said before, you got me or the timeline. Maybe Liz, you could talk about what's going on with this new timeline, what it means for what's coming up, because there's like the latest, I think acolyte. I can't never say that word. Acolyte. I can never say that word. The acolyte is in like one of the first eras, which, you know, I was a little confused by that until I saw it. So maybe you can speak on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I get too far in the weeds, just stop me.
Nope. That's what you're here for.
But yes, so the Acolyte is set in the High Republic era, which is the furthest back we've seen on screen. So that predates the first prequel trilogy movie, The Phantom Menace, by about 100 years. The High Republic books go back much further in time, but the Acolyte is the furthest back we've seen on screen. So that's the High Republic era. And then the prequel trilogy is set during, well, I always call it the prequel trilogy era, but it's the Clone Wars era for the most part, which is, you know, Attack of the Clones, obviously, is a reference to that. The Clone Wars era and the what comes to be called the Old Republic era are concurrent, and that ends when, in Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine takes over, ends the Republic, establishes the Empire.
Okay.
So what follows is the Imperial era, which is also called the Dark Times. It goes by a few different names. And then the Imperial era obviously ends when Luke, you know, stops the Empire. And when that happens, it's the New Republic era, which is what a lot of the current shows and movies are set during. So The Mandalorian is set during the New Republic era. Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, those are all New Republic era.
And the new one, right? The new one's in that too.
The Mandalorian Grogu, the one that's coming out.
Skeleton Crew, is that new?
Yes, Skeleton Crew is also.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. That looks good.
Yeah, it does. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that. Because I know we're Star Trek fans. I think a lot of us are Star Wars fans. I was talking about it today with a young friend of mine, was saying that I told him we were having a Star Wars show. He was like, "So is that like cheating?" And I was like, "Well, not for Star Trek fans, because I find that Star Trek fans are usually in some way a Star Wars fan. I don't find that the other way. I think," and it goes like, "Is there battles or something?" This is a young person. "Is there battles?" Or something? I'm like, "No, there's no battles. I don't know that maybe back in the day, maybe." I said, "But I don't think Star Wars fans care about Star Trek fans at all. They just, you know, we're not
osmosis at all.
We're not an issue for them, you know."
We're more open-minded.
I believe that. I believe we are our fandom is, but we have problems. Don't.
I mean, when it comes to like about Star Wars,
yes.
They are not too open-minded about us.
No. I find that. I do find that.
Yeah.
Yes. I do find that for the most part. Yeah.
Would you say that's true in your experience, Liz and Girafe?
Yeah, definitely. Like for me, I love going to conventions. I've been to Celebration, and when it was in Anaheim, I also I'm part of lightsaber fighting groups. So I learned to fight with a lightsaber because why not?
Why not?
Why not?
And I feel just going to conventions, you see the Star Trek convention are so much more diverse and so much more laid back. And when the Star Wars convention are not this chill, through my experience. Also, you have fan groups like the 501st that have like very strict rules to be part of the group. It's very expensive to be part of this group. There is an elitism that exists in the Star Wars fandom that does not exist in the Star Trek fandom. Being a Trekkie has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with your knowledge of Star Trek. This has nothing to do in like going step by step to be able to be approved with your costumes and stuff. I'm in the process of getting my Acolyte costume being approved by some of the fan groups in Star Wars, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. this dimension doesn't exist at all in Star Trek because we are post scarcity. Yay!
Right.
But wait a minute.
Wow.
I gotta go back. Do you have to get a costume approved by the group?
Yeah,
I don't
so-
understand this.
So you have fan groups like the Rebel Legion, like the 501st, who are cosplaying groups, and they are approved by Lucasfilms, for example. So when you want to be part of these cosplay groups, you need to get your costume approved. They have very long, detailed procedures. For example, if you do, I'm doing I made a High Republic costume. It has to be made of certain fabric. It has to be certain colors. It has your sleeves have to be certain length. There is the big rules that there's no zipper, there's no button. So there's a lot of rules, and to make this costume costs a lot of money because when you need to make a costume entirely out of linen, it's not the same thing than using whatever I mean, I can speak about costume for hours, but and for sure you can just wear whatever costume to go to whatever convention. You don't have to be part of these groups.
Right.
But if you want to, you can, and then you get selected. For example, for the premiere of the Acolyte, they invite a group of cosplayers. I get invited for Star Trek. Nobody approves my costume. They're just like, "Hey, Girafe, we like your costume. Come around." So there is a side
like live long and prosper.
Exactly. Lower decks.
Right.
There is definitely an economical and more elitistic. Elitistic, is that a word? I don't know. I'm boring. Sorry.
It is now.
Elitist.
Yeah. Elitist side of the Star Wars fandom, in my opinion, that does not exist on the Star Trek one, which means that Star Trek would be more open, in my opinion, to anybody who shows up and is like, "I have pointy ears, yay! One of us,
one of us."
I wouldn't have
I
made
don't know
it.
what you think about all these groups of cosplay and all these groups of fans, but like my experience has been interesting, but definitely different than Star Trek.
Thanks for explaining that, because and it makes sense now that you explained it, like those different groups and how they're used and stuff. Like I was like, because at first I was like, what, and then okay, we're gonna put this in context now. Okay, that sounds like that makes sense for that. Liz, have you found that same type of stratification, or in your between Star Wars and Star Trek fans, or in any other way?
So I'll say I don't do cosplay in like a serious way. So I know I don't have the same experience in that sense. I do think it really depends for me and my experiences based on where I am. So I live in Philly and I love Philly. So when I go to the Philadelphian conventions, like they are so fun and they're so lively and everybody's really welcoming in my experience. So even with I've met the 501st who are in Philly, and they played with my daughter because she dressed as little Leia, and they were doing all these different activities with her and things. But I won't name drop in a bad way, but I've been to other conventions. It does not feel the same. So this most recently, my daughter actually was like, we should just stick to Philly.
Wow.
Wow. Even she's noticing.
Local convention. Support your local convention.
Always.
Always.
Always support your local convention.
Yeah,
I say that for everything. I mean, my local convention is New York Comic Con, but
Hello.
well, yeah. What's this?
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's really interesting. So I'm interested in talking, getting to talking about what we saw happening in the fandom with the Acolyte. The Acolyte, I feel is a good test case. So let me go back. Liz, you have, I mean, I think it's really interesting. You are the senior Star Wars writer for Screen Rant. and you run into a lot of shiggity, don't you? All the like, so I'm interested to know that side a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll say, so it's like a small cohort of us who
Spill
are
the tea.
senior writers. For the
Girl.
So it's a group of us. Yeah, I definitely, my comment section is interesting. It's an interesting place to be. I think, I get a lot of comments that are just kind of, I think, copy and paste comments for them. So a lot of the time with the Acolyte comments, I was seeing the same things over and over again. They ruined Star Wars, and they kept calling Leslie Headland Harvey Weinstein's assistant. I'll be honest, I don't know what her history is with that person, but I know I was seeing that a lot in my comments. Outside of that, though, I do get comments directed at me. So we are able to request comments to be taken down. I've only done that a very few number of times. One of them, though, was somebody commented like, "Oh, we don't need to listen to like what this article says because a woman wrote it."
I saw that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, that's how we kind of got together. I was like, wait, what? And then I looked you up and I was like, wait, what? She's the senior writer. What are you talking? But I've heard that a lot. I've heard my whole life. I've heard that women don't watch Star Wars. Yeah. I've heard that forever. I mean, even with comic books, because I'm a big comic head, and it's not for girls, whatever, because I can beat your ass, so it doesn't matter. And that's how I looked at things when I was little. I was like, whatever, I'll kick your ass. I don't care, But that's how I've been dealing with that forever, and then when I think that's what made me say, I got to reach out to you, because I've heard that forever, and I'm older than you, and we should not be hearing that anymore. I got so upset, because and as a parent of a daughter, you're like, really? Are we still doing this? So that's why.
Century, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm so over it. It's everywhere. I'm just so over it. I heard it when I was a kid. I heard it when I was an adult. I heard it when I was a mother, and now my children are still hearing the same thing, and I've had enough. So that's why I wanted to put this group together, all these women who are talking about how much they love Star Wars. I mean, because we love this fandom just as much as anyone else. And I think someone said Star Wars is for everyone. So, and I think we've said that before with our fandom when it gets a little heated and crazy, because it can be a little misogynistic over on this side too. So.
Oh yeah. And racist.
And racist, yes.
Yes.
Very. But we do have, the thing I think we do have is that Star Trek as a property definitely stands up for their property. Yeah. They stand up for their characters, they stand up for their actors. That's I think that's the difference we found, which I wish, I wish Disney and whoever else, because George Lucas is not really in it anymore, I guess. Lucasfilm, yeah.
What'd you say, Girafe?
Lucasfilm, yeah.
Yeah, no, I wish they would. I just wish they would stand up a little more, because I remember when Moses Ingram, when all that stuff was happening with her, our captain was the first one to say something. Captain Pike himself was the first one to say something, and then oh my God, I can't remember. Who plays Obi-Wan?
Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, then he said something. I was like, well, why did he say something first? So it's just I wish.
I mean, Disney and Lucasfilm, have not stand up at all for their cast. Like, I've not seen, like, as franchises, I've not seen them put anything out there. Maybe I missed it, but I suppose not.
I
I've seen
don't think so.
actors, I've seen I mean, the treatment of Kelly Marie Tran was just
oh my gosh.
horrible.
Oh.
And
Wow.
nobody said anything.
Nobody.
They literally, like, chased these people out of these
nothing,
actors, out of the fandom, out of social media. And it says a lot about Lucasfilm and Disney for the fact that, well, they cancel The Acolyte, but they also don't ever support their cast in this situation. And they keep trying to have diverse cast, but it's basically throwing them to the lions in the arena and be like, hey, good luck. At least I feel Star Trek has been very good at supporting the cast, at putting their cast, up front, at being behind them, at always supporting their shows. More than Disney.
Right.
But, I feel it not only it sends a message to people, actors that who would like to be in Star Wars, but it sends a message to the fandom. For me, it really clearly says, you are not somebody we care to have around. You are not somebody we care to have watch our show. You're not somebody we care to have, buy our stuff. Well, then I give my money, But how the real question is how Lucasfilm Star Wars as a franchise is going to advance and progress in the environment of TV nowadays. Because if they go back and keep giving us shows like Obi-Wan, which I like, but it's not The Acolyte,
Yeah.
Right.
And what are we gonna do? We're just gonna have over and over the same soup. There are also, I think, the one, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the one that we're talking about having these super fan panels to like vet the shows and watch them before everybody and say what they liked. I think that was Blighty.
That was that real?
Is that a thing?
Not that I'm aware of, but that doesn't mean it's not.
Right. I thought that was just something people were saying they should do. I didn't think that was a real thing.
Oh, okay.
I really hope that's not a real thing.
And I was like, oh, this is such a bad idea.
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, all of that is the reason why I wanted to have Liz on, because she was out there on her own, actually, fighting for her life. But definitely doing, she had, I went to her to find out what was actually going on with Star Wars, because I hear all kinds of things, and I'm not in the fandom where I can, and Liz knows a lot, so I just wanted to have her on in a safe space, as you could tell from the chat, and tell us, what's happening with Star Wars. I mean, it's like I said, Star Trek fans do love Star Wars. I just think we just don't want anything to do with the fandom. I think that's what it is, and I hate that, because there's some good stuff coming out, and there's good stuff out there. So this is our little Star Trek show. So Liz, is there anything you want to tell us that's been going on in the Star Trek world? The Star Wars world that we should know about?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're hitting the nail on the head, and it's really heartbreaking. Like, sometimes I do just genuinely get really, really discouraged. And my sunnier side would like to think, it's a small but loud group that's really, bringing down the fan base. I've met wonderful people who love Star Wars, but I definitely think, especially with the Acolyte. I mean, Star Wars has been dealing with these waves of just vitriol for so long. So back with the prequel trilogy, the actor who played Jar Jar Binks, Ahmed Best,
heartbreaking story.
Who came back in The Mandalorian, which makes me really happy. His journey makes me really happy. And if you follow him on social media, he loves Star Wars so loudly. Like, he shares everything about it. It's so great. But he was horribly bullied.
He was.
Jake Lloyd, who played the little boy Anakin in Phantom Menace was bullied horribly. And so, you know, this has existed for a long time. I know we've already talked a little bit about Kelly Marie Tran. A lot of bullying with the sequel trilogy targeted her, targeted Daisy Ridley. They continue to be targeted. So I actually just wrote a list a couple days ago of just a cute, silly, what Harry Potter house would the Star Wars characters be in? And somebody commented that Rey would be thrown off the astronomy tower. Yeah.
Damn.
So yeah. And it's like this all the time. It's just really discouraging. Yeah. Yeah.
It's also always very violent.
It's like, very violent. Yeah. And I know
that's that group, that's that hate, that group that hates women so much. They
hate the other so much.
They hate the other, but there's a large group of men out there who
particularly
hate women. Hate them.
Period.
I mean, you were saying about all the people that were. I mean, there was a lot of hate for Carrie Fisher when she came back as the general
from the very beginning.
Right.
And then I couldn't understand it because for me, Star Wars was all about Princess Leia. You know, I didn't go to see Princess Leia in the beginning. I just went to see. But when I left, yes, I was all about Princess Leia because she was a badass, and I saw that
exactly.
But these people, I remember reading, she, you know, I don't know if they thought she was like a damsel, and I'm like, how did you think she was a damsel in distress? How did she? What were you watching that she was a damsel?
She didn't need anybody to rescue her.
No, she didn't need nobody to rescue her. And then when she came back at this general, it was horrible against her, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, so it was. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah.
I think you know, you guys like really hit the nail on the head earlier when both of you were talking about like the higher ups, you know, like the only people who are having anybody's back ever, who are consistently speaking out against this vitriol are the other cast members. You know, and it's like it starts from the top up. It starts at the top, you know, and you know, and that's where the tone is set, you know. And Darth Jar, you guys are killing me.
Look, I love that Hut Slayer Leia. That's right.
Wait a minute. Is there a Darth? Wait a minute. I'm asking. Is there a Darth Jar Jar?
No.
Darth.
Okay.
Darth Jar Jar in the Lego one.
The Legos.
The Legos. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother part of Star Wars is the Legos part.
Yeah, I'm always like, I'm not such a deep fan of Star Wars, and I'm like, Lego Star Wars.
Legos. Sorry to me.
That's okay. I'm good. I'm all good.
Out Jabba the Hutt. She choked him.
She choked off.
That shit.
Yeah, ain't nobody help her do that.
Sure did.
She was there to save her man.
That's right.
She's saving him.
He saved him.
Right? He was there to save him. What?
It's just really interesting to me. Like, you know, it's the same people who were like, keep your politics out of Star Trek. And we're like, hello. Have you ever watched the show?
Have you watched the show?
From the beginning in 1966.
Yeah.
So, I
was a child,
you know, but the difference being that
I like the aside asterisk.
1966, Fran was actually a child.
I was actually a child.
1-800 Choke a Hut. Oh my God. She sure was. That's where Disney got it from, Jamal.
Yeah, the chat again is just killing me.
Woo! I gotta put that on a goddamn shirt.
I know, right?
1-800 Choke a Hut. I'll put big ass Jabba Hut on it and everything.
You're pulling that damn chain, man.
His tongue out. Yeah.
Leah would get invited to the cookout.
Oh yeah.
Oh hell yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher
probably
too.
can do.
Carrie
She
Fisher
probably
too.
can
Yeah.
do the what you call that? I can't even think of it. The electric slide, right? She probably can do that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, we digress. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, you all know what I was saying. It was like we have a difference in our fandom, in the Star Trek fandom, where the people are standing up from the top. It's coming from the top. Like it's in our philosophy. It's embedded intrinsically in the philosophy of who and what we are. But I think Star Wars tells a different type of story, and it's always, to me, the way that I see it is always this yin and yang battle of good and evil, right? And and I mean, correct, I don't see a lot more than that most of the time.
Well, the Acolyte was real. That's why I like the Acolyte was really a story about the bad guys, wasn't it? I mean, there was really no. It was gray. There was no, like you said, that yin and yang. That's what I liked about it.
But that's why I liked the Acolyte.
Different. Yeah,
exactly,
so
because it wasn't like a traditional Star Wars story for me. Like I felt like there was more nuance to those characters. Like I could be wrong. What do you guys think?
I think the Acolyte for me was surprising because it questioned my bias. Because when you watch Star Wars, right, it's easy to the good guys, not the bad guys, and the good guys are the Jedi, and the bad guys are any other guys. Right. The bad guys, right?
Yep.
These ones. And what I really liked about the Acolyte is that I watched it with my Star Wars trained mind. Jedi, the good guy, and then slowly I was like, wait a minute, and it really questioned my own bias in who I turn towards with faith and belief and being they're doing the right thing. And then I rewatched it like 4 times, and it's interesting how there were so many clues since from the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Especially because again, I'm obsessed about the costuming. The costuming in the Acolyte is one of the best costuming that they've done in Star Wars ever,
good.
Like, from any angle. And the costume tell you so much from the first episode that these guys just like show up in like white clothes. Like, hello, we're the good guy. We're just gonna detain something randomly. Hello, and I think that
I agree.
At the end, the Acolyte make you really like forced you to confront these questions in yourself, in how you see the world. And well, what if the good guys are not always the good guys? Then how do you deal with all those? And how do you deal with secrecy and with the fact that, well, sometimes you have to be in the middle, and that everything is not so Manichean, and that you really have to interrogate each situation you're in and what's going on, which is a lot of work. And I think the Acolyte did a great job at just questioning people who are watching Star Wars. And that's what people didn't like, I think. It's so much easier. It's like the good guys are always the good guys. Like, come on. So I do think that was too much too fast, maybe, for a fandom that had not tried anything very new or very different in how to address their own stories for a very long time.
Good point.
I get
Liz,
that.
what about you? Those are great points. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was funny for me to watch sort of like the fallout specifically regarding, they're making the Jedi seem bad, because I think that was an immediate giveaway for me that folks haven't really been interrogating what's been going on in Star Wars for a very long time.
Right? Yes, exactly.
Because actually in the prequels, they accept an army of people. The Jedi just accept an army of people, and they're like, okay, you're gonna fight and die for us now, and we're just not gonna even question where you came from. You're just gonna be a gift army, and we're gonna use you.
Thank you.
Slavery? Well, who cares?
They got Trojan horsed. They got Trojan horsed when they all turned around and killed them.
Yep.
But I think, you know, and I'm an Anakin apologist, which is bad, but I love him and I love a villain. And so to me, the story of Anakin Skywalker, to me, has always made it clear from the Phantom Menace forward that the Jedi were very flawed, because this little boy shows up and he's scared and he just got taken, you know, by choice, I suppose. He was like, yeah, let's go. But from his mother, and he shows up on this planet he's never been, and, you know, he's physically cold. He misses his mom, and the Jedi like treat him as this threat. And then from that moment on, hashtag Anakin apologist is correct. They treat him as this threat, and then from that moment forward, even when they accepted him eventually into the Order, you know, he was always held at arm's length. And I think that it's funny, I was talking about this with my editor earlier today, is they never treated Anakin like a human being. And I see that at every level. Like, I see that when they met him and they were cold toward him. I see that in this way they made him he was the chosen one, and that's all he was meant to be. He wasn't meant to be a whole person. I am getting too in the weeds now, but when he goes...
No, you're not.
Not at all.
Come on.
No.
Come on with it, sis.
Nope.
We are your people.
Yeah,
when he goes to the Jedi and he's like, I'm having he goes to Yoda, the smartest, wisest, best Jedi, and he's like, I'm having these nightmares. This person I care about is dying. And Yoda basically is like, well, don't get upset. That's the dark side, instead of like helping him and having compassion for him.
Yep.
And so I think Anakin is a really good indication for me that they were flawed already.
Yes.
And I think a lot of what Luke Skywalker says in the sequel trilogy, which people really took an issue with too, is like, hey, the Jedi were actually very flawed, and this is why they fell apart. And I think people were just mad that they changed Luke's character. And he wasn't just like, this is great. But yeah, I feel like the Jedi have always been flawed. And I don't know. There's something very like colonial about them also.
Ooh,
like,
extremely. Oh my God, did you just hit the nail on the head? Yes. Yes.
But I think the Acolyte was very mindful of that. Like, they're on Brendok, like, and they invade this area because they don't understand the customs of the witches of Brendok, and then they think the children are in danger, even though the children are just loved.
Children, they love children.
They were loved. They were being taught. Well, what they were really pissed off was that these women had access to this power that they wanted to control and keep for their own.
That's what it was.
And I feel like the Acolyte was like DS9 was for us, for you guys, like for Star Wars fans, was like what DS9 was for Trekkies, because like, you know, it came along, DS9 came along and had this totally different storytelling, and it wasn't all like, you know, it was like, okay, well, we got the Federation and we're so used to TOS and it's all bright and shiny, and then TNG, it's all bright and shiny, and we're the good guys and we're coming in, we're gonna save you. You know, and DS9 is like, whoa, slow your roll.
That ain't this.
That's it. Like, you know, we've done some shiggity, you know, to maintain this peace here, and we're gonna explore it like that, you know. And I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons why I loved the Acolyte so much. Is like I could relate to that storytelling and understand that, you know, because this is one of the things that's always driven me crazy about a lot of Star Wars storytelling. It is so polarized, black and white, like good and bad. It's just you know, sometimes it can be one dimensional, but I love the thing. Now I have a whole new respect for those movies and looking at Anakin's arc now because of what you just said. Like absolutely a whole new respect. And I will watch those again and see them entirely differently because I think, like Girafe was saying, I had a bias. I think this is exposing my inner bias. Perfect. I see this. I knew this was going to be a good show.
Yeah, this was the same. But when she said that, I was like, oh, that's true, because I just recently like did a whole watch, like at the beginning of the year. I've been doing a big watch, and they are flawed. They even in the, like you said, with the Clone Wars. I mean,
yes,
really, you just let these people just do what the hell they want to do. Nobody's checking. And like you said, the Trojan horse got them in the end and wiped their asses out. What was it, 99 or 66, something like that? I was
Order
like,
66,
God, Order 66. I was like, God damn.
I mean, so we're already telling a story about what's it called when your ego? What's the Greek term? Hubris. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I teach Greek. That's what I do.
Hubris. Yeah, but yeah, I haven't, just because like you said to me, I'm looking back at this going, I need to do another watch because I have a bias against those prequels also. I don't hate them, but I don't watch them. It's that kind of thing, you know. I just I know what happened. I'm just gonna keep moving, you know.
Can I do my quick pitch on why I think the prequels are the very best?
Sure,
yes, do it.
Please, go ahead. We love it. Go.
So I think the fundamental message of Star Wars is actually meant to be that even the most innocent person can become evil if they're subjected to the right circumstances. And the inverse is also true. So even the most evil person can be redeemed, right? And so I think Anakin's story is that story. So I think the prequels that introduced him as this little kid who was so sweet and like wanted to help and loved his mom and like was so giving, turns into this horrible villain, I think is really indicative of that. And then that he was able to ultimately be redeemed despite everything he did in the prequels, because we know that happens right in Return of the Jedi. So I really feel like the story, the message of Star Wars is contained really succinctly in the prequels. So that's my pitch.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, I like I said, I'm gonna go back and actually watch these with a different mindset, with an open mind, because I didn't want to say it earlier, but yes, I definitely had a bias towards them. I just didn't watch them. I saw them because I need to see it all. But yeah, right. I feel the same way, Bruce. Damn, Liz.
The thing is that when I watched the prequels, all these flew way above my head. Like, I did not click any of this. I was like, oh no, the bad guys have won. Oh. And that's all. Because also, you know, I watched them once in the cinema, and that's all. Like, I watched them way later. When I was also older, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I think I feel like doesn't let you do that. It doesn't let you look away. It really puts your head in it and be like,
I
look,
agree. Yeah.
Unchecked power does that. And I think also for me, The Acolyte was a lot about nobody can be all virtuous. No instrument of power, no group of people, even if they are to the core good values, because the Jedi do have good values to start with. Like, they're not like, you know, evil for the sake of being evil, but because they're so self-righteous and so basically in their own echo chamber, and they have
Jean-Luc Picard. I'm sorry.
And you were talking about TNG, and I was like, that's exactly the Federation under TNG. Like, nobody is checking them. Nobody is being like, wait a minute. can we think about this?
Mhm.
And I feel like the acolyte with the character of the
That's why
senator.
I'm watching them again.
Yeah, the character of the senator who comes and tells them nobody can just have no emotion. That's
Yes.
Right.
insane.
Yes. When he said that, I was like,
shows you there are
see?
people
Yeah.
that want to get in and check them, and
Yes.
that's important. That no, if we speak about politics, that no powers like get to check each other, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the lightsaber fight was
Oof.
super good.
It was
Yes.
dope.
So
It was so
good.
good.
And
So
can we
good.
say how everybody was super hot also, but like that.
Yes.
Hey, helmet wearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He took them off. He took it off.
But yeah, these important thing that we should have external people checking groups that have too much power, aka
Yes.
the Jedi, because they do create the evil. They do create people who are being, mistreated and abused, and
Yes.
then will turn away. And Tales of the Jedi is very good also at talking about this. It's animation. I don't know if you watched it, but I'm sure Liz watched it.
I haven't seen that yet.
Tales of the Jedi is animated.
Yes, and
Okay.
it's the first one, Tales of the Jedi, and then it's Tales of the Empire, and you have these little shows, little episodes that tells you the origin stories of Jedi.
Oh,
So
yeah,
you know
yeah,
how
yeah, yeah. I
Ahsoka
like
became a
those.
Jedi, and the one with Count Dooku is for me so interesting
Mhm.
because it's at
That
one
was
point
mine. I like that one.
power becomes so unfair, and you see unfairness and injustice so much that at one point you want to take things into your own hand, but is that the right thing to do? And there's this whole question of what do you do when the power in place is not fair. How do you
Right.
deal with that? And I feel Star Wars is going into very interesting place in discussing politics and powers and so on, but I don't think they've trained most of their fandom to follow in this reflection of what is going on.
They want to
Trekkies
see
are all
lightsabers,
about
and that's it.
But yeah,
But that you're so correct, and it blows my mind. Sorry, I got heated because the original trilogy that everyone is like, they ruined Star Wars. What you're talking about is the original trilogy where they're fighting fascism.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes,
Right.
they are.
That is exactly what
It's fascist. Like,
That's it.
it's always so weird to me when people are like, "Oh, this is like not a political."
They didn't come for that. They came for the lightsabers. That's what they came for.
Well, I mean, like, it's so interesting to me too that like now a lot of some of the fandom has become this haven for these ultra conservative people. Like, I mean, I remember like when I first went to one of my home conventions that I would go to is a small convention, and there was always like the stormtroopers were always there. It was a Star Trek convention, but we always like, we like, come on, everybody, right? And so there was always this contingency of stormtroopers that came every year, and it was so cool, and they were so much fun, and everybody loved them, and we all like drank together, like we hung out together. It was just good times, right? And then I went back to that convention recently, and those same stormtroopers were they made me feel like they wanted to tell me to get out of town N-word. Like it was really blatant, and it was just really sad. And I've seen,
it's that fascist aesthetic,
right. Right. And I feel like I've seen that several times, like not just at this one convention. And I'm like, what happened where this is now like these white shields are like akin to white robes, and and it's just it just wasn't the same, like and I felt like now, like I feel like I don't want to approach these, like not everybody is like that, right? But how do I don't know, you know, because you're hanging out with the guy that's giving me these crazy ass looks over here, you know, at the same time. And it's just so, you know, and it's just really sad to me. And I really hope that they can bring it back in check, because they do a lot of good overall, you know. So
They're good
anyway.
stories. I mean, the whole
they're great stories, and the organizations themselves could be a great organization, but I felt like it was
I felt that way, not at New York Comic Con, but at another Comic Con I went to. I felt that way also. It just felt different. I don't know, maybe because I knew the people who were at New York Comic Con. I knew them, and there were, you know, I knew who was underneath the helmets, and they were not those people. But I did feel that way at when you said that. I was like, wow, some places I go, I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere near the 501 or anybody who's underneath. I'm like, ugh. But then some places it's just fine. You know, they got kids, they're giving kids stuff, you know, they're you know, they're being happy. They're being, once the guy tells them, okay, let's line up, they're all business. But you know, outside of that,
I got my pictures with the 501, bunch of cool ass dudes up there, and, you know, and I had a blast with them. But you know, they weren't the same as the ones that came to these other convention down here. It was different.
I don't know, Derek. I have no idea.
Yeah, the story was literally about fashion. Go ahead, Sabrina. You're trying to say something.
She's catching up.
Sabrina.
Okay.
I'm reading the chat.
Oh my God.
Okay. We're all like,
Sabrina?
She's gonna come around.
I got nothing with Star Wars. I'm the least of you.
One
thing I wanted to go back to when you were talking about the timeline, and I was really happy that they did put the timeline stuff out, because I've always had a hard time figuring out where we were.
Yes.
Because, you know, like Star Trek, you know what, you know, if you see the Monster Maroon, you know what's going on. I mean, in Star Wars, they all look the same in every time. It's like they got the same robes on, so I never know what time.
Fashions are not changing.
Thank God for the timeline.
In 100 years, it still works. You always know where you are in Star Trek, because they change that uniform every 5, 10 years. And then now we know everybody ain't got the same uniform. Who knew? Right. Oh yeah, the Star Wars books are pretty good. I like that they bring in people from the books, because we don't do that in Star Trek. We're not allowed. It's not allowed.
The good thing about when you started speaking about the timelines, I really like that they did something in the High Republic, because I feel for the average watcher, and that's a criticism I always give to Star Trek, is that if you want to bring new people to watch the show, it should be, you should be able to follow it with no notes.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
when I started watching The Mandalorian, I was on Wikipedia, like,
yes,
every 10
me
minutes,
too.
like,
Same.
that guy.
Yeah.
What is it? And for the Acolyte, everybody is on the same level. You don't know these people. I mean, you can know about Venestra and so on if you read the book, but it's not
if you read the book, yeah.
In the,
well, she tells you most of it, yeah.
Yeah, and basically, you can watch the whole show without having watched any Star Wars and still get it. Most of the important thing is explained, and then you can just enjoy a new character, a new set of planets, and a new part of the timeline, which is something Star Trek doesn't do. I don't think so. Yeah. Especially you need to come with luggage, like, to know stuff. But I like the fact that the Acolyte renewed the aesthetic of Star Wars. That's why it's the only Star Wars cosplay I have, because as you were saying, they always wear the same robe, and you know me, I like the bling in the cosplay.
Yes, you do.
I need the thing, I need the color, right? And I was like, I don't want to cosplay Star Wars. It's all brown and it's all like desert clothes. I don't want that. And somebody was like, do you know the High Republic? Have you seen the? And I was like, I'm doing this. Yes, I'm doing the bling Jedi. I'm doing the golden one. Yeah. But that's something that was so refreshing, and to be just able to watch a show like this, no research,
right,
and that was really enjoyable for me.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a really good point. I wish that the Acolyte, like, I wish they hadn't canceled it. So, Liz, like, do you have scuttlebutt as to why they canceled it so fast?
So we don't have any. I wish we did have like an inside scoop on what the launch was. I will say, on a personal level, I was surprised the speed with which it was confirmed that show was not coming back. That spoke volumes to me. Because other shows that were presented as, so like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Book of Boba Fett was one where people were expecting a second season, and one isn't coming, hasn't been announced, doesn't seem to be coming. Right. But there's been no definitive, statement. Right. And I think what's tricky about the Acolyte is Disney never officially announced. Which is weird also, but they also never denied. And so the whole thing just...
Wait, Disney didn't announce that it's canceled?
No. So the Direct, I think, is the source. The Direct was the first source, and then everyone started reporting on it. So they've never confirmed. But that's also not something with shows that they would typically do unless there was a second season that was anticipated. Like if they had said one was coming, then they would have to say. So there have been a few things that have been canceled. There was a Rogue Squadron, I believe, movie that was canceled. But yeah, in the case of the Acolyte, they never said. And so I've even been like sort of hedging whether I want to say it was canceled or if it was just not renewed or what it was. But the speed with which it was spread. I mean, I think the last episode had premiered a month before that news got out, which is extremely unusual. I mean, that's unusual for any franchise, but especially a franchise as big as Star Wars that takes years to put out second seasons.
Right.
It was very disappointing. And I mean, the actors have done a great job of talking about how disappointing that was, and how disappointed they are. This cast, the Acolyte cast, just has my heart because they, first of all, are lovely people, clearly. And second of all, they say it like it is. Like they say it.
They don't pull any punches.
They were like, I ain't got another check. So
what do they have to be scared about? Because like everybody else has towed the line, and Disney has never had their backs. Not once. Everybody else towed the line and played nice, and they never had their backs. Not once. So why not?
I don't blame you.
Why not speak out?
And I wish,
because I'm like, no, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna. I think particularly with the level of vitriol that was directed at the cast, at the show, at the creators, this would have been a very good time for them to finally like put their foot down and say like the behavior has been abysmal. I just joked with my editor that we're all in timeout because Star Wars did not announce anything new at D23, which is very unusual.
Wow.
Star Wars Celebration is coming up in 2025 in April. They took a year off this year. So
they're really not going to say anything.
Yeah, I was disappointed that it was not happening this year, but yes, so it's coming to Japan in April of 2025. So a lot of announcements are definitely going to happen then, but for right now, we know Ahsoka season 2 is coming, Andor season 2 is coming, and then Skeleton Crew is coming at the end of this year.
And the movie,
Now-
right?
Now will
movie?
Ahsoka be in Ahsoka?
I was just about to say that.
Because
I was just
she
about to
was
say that.
not in Ahsoka.
No.
I would like to
Like,
see
I saw her for
Ahsoka.
all of 5 minutes.
5 minutes. I was like,
I
"Ain't
watched
it
that
named
whole
after her?
damn
Where
show.
is she?"
I watched that whole damn show looking for Ahsoka, and we're talking about her damn Padawan, who's just a spoiled little girl who somebody needed to like.
Hey, you're talking about Sabine right now. Like,
Nah,
come
nah.
on.
I was like, "Where is Ahsoka?" This is
I
not
was so
this
through
is
with
not
that
this
show.
is not the extra scenes of Rebels, because that's all. I was like, "Is this the continuation of Rebels?" Because that's all it was.
1000% is.
That's all it was. I know. I
And
came
you
for
have to have
Ahsoka.
watched Rebels to be able to
Yeah.
understand Ahsoka.
Well, yeah,
Dig
you
it.
did. I mean, because otherwise,
Which-
forget it.
and I
You don't
did.
know what the
So
hell's going on.
That
And
was
why
me.
wasn't Ahsoka in Ahsoka? That's what
wanted to
I
know.
want to know. Very
Inquiring
sus.
minds want to know.
Yes.
So it's honestly, it's hard to find genuine like criticism underneath all of the bad. But so this is a complaint I see a lot, not just about Ahsoka, but people had that same complaint with Obi-Wan Kenobi, where it was like, these are the titular leads, but where are they?
Where are they?
So I love Ahsoka's my favorite character.
Mine too.
So I
Mine
do get
too.
it.
Yeah.
I totally.
Yeah. She's
I
definitely
totally
my
get it.
favorite. And she's my favorite because I've watched the Clone Wars and
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's where she became. But I just thought this was gonna it said her name. So I figured we were getting her story. And once again, she's like a background person as she was, all those years in the animation. And I'm like, I just want a whole it just be nice. I don't know. We call it Ahsoka.
Hey, Boba Fett was barely in the book of Boba Fett, so
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
also true.
That's also true. That's also very true. It's
Mhm.
weird, but I'm not a fan of Boba Fett, so I guess I didn't really notice it. Obi-Wan
wanted,
either
like-
until you said it. I was like, you're right. He really was not
Yeah.
in that.
No, he wasn't. I forgot. And I was like, I didn't really care for that one anyway. Like, it just didn't hit me in any way.
Mhm. It was
But-
good. It was all right.
Yeah,
If you put
it's-
Hayden
it's
Christensen
there.
in anything, I'll love it. But anything with Hayden Christensen in it.
But yeah,
George
So-
Lucas doesn't have to fight for it too much. Somebody just said George Lucas had to fight for Ahsoka. I said he doesn't have to fight for so much at all. He can just say what he wants, but maybe.
Well, he's not as in charge as he was like before. Like, he's not the main man, right? Or did they bring him back?
So I think that's probably in reference to when they first created Ahsoka, because in the prequel movies, Anakin, they didn't mention Anakin having a Padawan, and then
Right.
in the Clone Wars show, he did. Well, she was introduced in the Clone Wars movie, and then in the Clone Wars show, he had a Padawan.
Mhm,
But people were terrible to her too. Now everyone
Yes.
loves Ahsoka, but when she came out in her little tube top at 14
Yes.
years old, people were. That was not what they were
Oh,
critiquing.
yeah.
They were-
Whoop, whoop.
you had a
Just
you had
like
a two
Fran-
top at 14.
Just like Fran and her miniskirt at 13, right? Go
course.
ahead, Franny T.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is. Nobody cared. As I always say, nobody cared. We were on our own. So what can I tell
Well,
you?
know.
All right.
I'm just saying, Disney, if you're watching, and we know you are,
Well,
we hope you are.
we hope
Maybe,
you are,
maybe
but-
one day you will.
Yeah. They don't
We want-
return my calls.
We want Ahsoka to be in Ahsoka,
Yes, please.
and we want Acolyte season 2.
That would be
That's what we
nice.
want.
Now, you said Ahsoka season 2 is coming out soon?
Yes, so the only confirmed shows right now are Skeleton Crew, Andor season 2, Ahsoka season 2, and Andor is definitely the last season of Andor.
Yeah, it would have to be,
Um,
right?
Yeah,
Right.
so those are the only confirmed shows right now, and I'm sure they have other things and there are movies as well. But in terms of shows, I'm sure they have other things in the works.
No Mandalorian?
So the Mandalorian season 4 is not confirmed. They have the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming, but season 4 is not, which was expected.
Okay.
So that's why I joked that we're in timeout, because they're really slowing. I feel like this is entirely personal opinion, but I feel like they're slowing down what they're producing.
Yeah, Star Trek is doing the same thing.
Really?
I think all the studios are, especially with their sci-fi.
Yeah, Star Trek is doing the same thing. There's nothing going on. There's only one thing filming right now. When for the last 5 years we had a ton of things, and now there's only one show filming right now. So
yeah,
and they've canceled a show that is extremely popular.
Right.
And this is their last season.
And not expensive to produce either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's after the strike, this is what we got.
Yep.
So I kind of knew, once you say yes to all of those things, something's got to give.
Yeah. So,
and I'm not saying, what they got was that they shouldn't have got what they got, but it's got to come from somewhere, and somebody didn't want to. It doesn't want to give up a bonus,
right?
So there will be no show. Oh yes, and this, if I can get it to come up, there you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the subscription prices, yeah, for sure. Like everybody's subscription price.
I feel the same way.
Marvel, like, oh my god, I'm so like yawn.
They really need to just stop for a minute.
Liz is like, did I?
Look at Liz. Liz is like,
is anyone watching Agatha all along though?
Yes. Oh my god,
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's really good. I heard
it's so
really good. I heard it's really good.
I had to I haven't started it yet because I really want to be able to enjoy it when I watch it, because I knew it was going to be good because she's such a good character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the cast is amazing.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Marvel.
Right? Because we do it all over here.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're big I think we're more Marvel heads over here than Star Wars heads. I think we know a lot more. Yeah.
Isn't Robert Downey Jr. supposed to be coming back? Didn't I read that?
Mm-hmm.
He was coming back.
Yeah. Oh, look, see, perked up, Fran.
Yeah.
Oh, she is with us. Okay.
I like Marvel. I really like Marvel.
See, I told you. We got Star Trek fans. We like it all. I don't think like I said, you come here, you're gonna find people who might not know it, but they're coming here, right? Coming here, right?
Yep.
There you go. You just as he's coming back as Dr. Doom.
Okay. Oh,
right? They're doing a Star Trek thing. Kill off somebody and bring them back to somebody else.
Jeffrey Combs, watch out.
Yep, right.
He's coming for you.
That's it.
Yeah.
He's aging out of playing the hero. That's what.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is also true.
Yeah.
And that's an undeniable fact,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
This has been an amazing, amazing show. Like, thank you. I can't thank you guys enough for coming on here and talking about this stuff with us. You're both wonderful women. And do you guys want to let people know where they can find you on your socials and stuff? If you want to be found. Liz, we'll start with you.
Sure. So I go by my middle name on social media. So it's Vava Vera, VA_VERA. And that's TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. I love Threads. I don't know if anybody's on Threads.
That's where we found each other. We found each other on Threads.
Yes. I love it.
Love Threads.
Girafe, what about you, honey?
I just wrote my handle because it's wrote weirdly. So you can find me everywhere at lyrical_giraffe, giraffe with one F because it's in French. And I'm live every Thursday with Strange New Pod at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. This week we are doing a review of Lower Deck season 4 before jumping in season 5 very soon. We're very excited.
And I just thank you. And I just want to give a shout out to Strange New Pod. Like we love you guys. Like you guys are so much fun, and you're even nicer, more wonderful people in person. I love your show. Like you guys, if you're not, I see Yvette over there is having like technical. I can hear
It just would not move.
change.
Ay, ay, ay. It's been one of those nights.
Yeah. But anyway, like we love our friends at Strange New Pod. So you guys, like, please check them out if you have not checked them out, and then please check out Liz's articles on Screen Rant. You know, like there's some people that I take issue with. So, and I see that an article come up by that, and some people that I just can't wait to read what you're writing. And Liz, you're one of them. So, you know. We really appreciate you guys. And, you know, guys, we appreciate everybody out there who's been hanging with us and having fun in this conversation. You know, you guys make it so much fun. The show would be nothing without you because you guys are freaking hilarious. The chat is off the chain all the time. And we love you guys. And that's it for us. So peace, love, and hair grease. Good night.